Before we dive right into this Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor, as the Bruins lose to the Detroit Red Wings 2-1, after what I would say was a very interesting 24 hours. Interesting might not be the most optimal word. Let's just take a moment and thank Sparks skate sharpeners and the most fantastic piece of skate sharpening equipment you could ask for. Go to sparkshockey.com. Check it out. They've got some good holiday stuff going on. Use the code Morning Brew and you'll get free shipping. They may have some other deals going on there too, but it's the easiest, most foolproof, most time-saving piece of equipment, folks. If you are in the hockey business at all, and what I mean, or the playing of hockey business at all, go check it out. And we thank them again for being part of Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor here. It means an awful lot to us. All right, Razor, a 2-1 loss, buddy, to the Detroit Red Wings, a game where they outshot them 3-1, right? I mean, they did all that. There's no moral victories, though. There's none. And I know that it's still early enough in the season, blah, blah, blah. But again, this is the team that you need to beat. You do a lot of good things, bud, but just not enough.
No, I guess it wasn't enough to get 2 points. They did all that they could within their reason, within their control. I thought
Except
they played.
They get to the front of the net enough, in my opinion.
It
wasn't enough of it.
No, you look at the top line. That's not the top line's not going to the front of net. Hall and Pastrnak, those guys aren't. That's not their bag. I think that, and basically, it felt like they played 35 minutes. I mean,
seemed like it, right?
Especially,
they were all over
it felt like they were out there, and I listened to some of it on the radio. I didn't hear anybody's name other than the top two lines. It's so the group of players that were out on the ice weren't necessarily ones that were going to the front of the net. It's been a long, probably 24 hours for them, and probably not as long as everyone thinks either. All those guys in the room knew that DeBrusk wanted out. Probably have known that he's asked for a trade numerous times. So this isn't a big deal for the players nearly as much as it is for everyone else who hears an agent say this. This isn't the ground shaking in that room, and so that isn't it. I think it's more the Marchand factor and a little bit of the coach. I mean, guys don't really care who's behind the bench for the most part, but that just adds to another dynamic. Guys wearing masks. Now you have to start worrying and you start thinking about, and testing's ramping up now for the next 3 or 4 days for them, and who's next. So those are more of the factors tonight. But at the end of the day, they still should have won. They didn't, and now you have to continually. The message is, all right, guys, we have to stick with it. There's adversity throughout these entire seasons. We're going to stick with it. We need to work through this, and that's what I expect them to do. That doesn't make things easier for anyone tonight. I get it, but that's the reality. If they got outshot 42-16, or they lost 6-0 like the Columbus Blue Jackets, or they blew a 3-goal lead in the third period like the Washington Capitals did, or a 2-goal lead like the Tampa Bay Lightning did tonight. You go around the league, there's lots of adversity all the time. And this is another form of it for this Bruins team, that you would rather them be 15-4 at this point, but they're not, and they have to fight through it.
And they're not a 15-4 team. That's the other thing. I mean, we want them to be, right? I mean, but on paper, they're not a 15-4 team. They probably are what they are, at least in my eyes, right now.
No, and there's only, I mean, I think the group, they've spoiled everybody thinking that that's typical. Like, there's only 2 15-4, 3 15-4 teams in the league. Everyone else is 24 points.
Yeah.
Everybody else in the Western Conference is 24 points, 26 points, 25 points. That's what it is. And that's what this league is. And that doesn't diminish what is going on with this team right now, and how you need some players to show up and you need some players to clean it up 20 games into the season. But it's a slog. It's a slog.
All right, couple of things to go through that you touched on there that I think are important just to rifle through. First of all, and this is in no particular order, because if I was a good host, I would have like a little bit of a format. I'd be writing shit down. I'd understand, and
It
I'm
doesn't
not.
work like that.
Doesn't
This
work
doesn't
like
work
that
like
with
that.
me. So I just kind of try and say,
No.
oh, that's a good thing. I got to talk about and this and this and this, and just to rifle through some things. So again, in no particular order. First of all, you're right about testing ramping up. There could be some protocols that change for the Bruins. You already mentioned the masks on the bench. My my idea is that Bruce Cassidy has to continue to test. So if it's obviously if I mean, is there a chance it's a false positive? I don't have enough scoopage, so to speak, but I think
Mhm.
there is. I mean, he's got to test. You got to produce 2 negatives to get out, and so I think he's tested again today after a positive test. Like the rules are, you got to have 2 negatives. So maybe there's a chance, but if not, if he is positive, couple of things that come to mind. One is that probably the rules are going to change for the Bruins. For instance, traveling. If there's a positive there, my guess is that they will have restrictions. Perhaps not being able to go out as freely. Maybe they can probably implement their own protocols too. But the league for sure has some. It changes some things.
Yeah, they're not crushing Tootsies now on Tuesday night, unfortunately
No,
for them. Or Wednesday
no,
night.
no.
Wednesday night, probably a good night, Tootsies too.
And that is a good night, I think, on
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
Thursday
it
and
is.
Friday are better. Although you
Yeah.
could argue that it's too crowded.
Sneaky. Yeah,
It's
Wednesday's
too crowded.
sneaky. It's
Right.
sneaky.
And
Yep.
there's some really good bars off Broadway too that
Of
you
course,
can just
up in
get
near
into.
Vanderbilt. Oof,
Yeah,
good setup out there
exactly.
too.
Yeah, I don't remember names, but I can tell you establishments are very nice in that area.
Yeah.
Um, but the other thing is, and if you want to play out I don't want to call it a doomsday scenario, but worst case, but if the Bruins start getting positives, if
Mhm.
they're going to be they're going to the league's going to have to look at it immediately and say, wait a second, you can't call up anybody from the American
That's
League
why. That's
because
why it's a big problem. Yeah.
they're shut down.
Mhm.
But would they then require them to call up guys from the coast and the Maine Mariners? I'm just throwing it out there.
No, I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's one thing.
Yeah.
The second thing, you talked about the top line. Just to give some numbers to your uh, comment about being out there all the time. Pastrnak, 23 minutes. Bergeron, 21:44. Taylor Hall, 22:44. Hall had 4 shots. Bergeron 4. Pastrnak 9. So 17 of the 42 shots came from those 3 guys. The second line with Charlie Coyle, he had just under 20 minutes. Craig Smith, 15 minutes. Nick Foligno, 18 minutes. So you're right; those guys played a ton. The other 2 lines mishmashed it around. Um, they missed. I mean, this felt like a game where Marchand would have factored in somewhere. And I know it's easy to say, it's the old. He's not there, so we have to talk about him. But you know what? He would have been significantly fouled. He's their best player. So how the
Mhm.
hell could he not have been missed?
Yeah, no, he would have been worth that one more point, one more goal at some point. You feel like the energy, whatever, it's not fair to everybody else. It's not probably not fair to the Detroit Red Wings either. But that's the feeling of the game. That's what it was. Coming out of that, and um, it's just and it probably changes the whole thing. Yes, it felt like he was missed tonight. And
Yeah.
and just because of the way the last few days have gone, it would have been nice. It just was an emotional game where you could have had a jump from him. Needed
Yep.
more emotion, I should say.
You know, again, you don't say, "Oh, a point would have been great," but a point even would have been good. It just would have been good at the very least. Get a freaking point out of the game, and
Yeah, the
it
1-1 at 1-1, I felt good. Like, all right, they're gonna get to overtime anyways and get a point because yeah, it was a point. It was a game where you could lose in a shootout and be okay with that. Like after everything you had to deal with, like, all
right.
right, the good for them. And then Riley takes a stupid play, and everyone on the ice was stupid on that play.
Yeah.
Frederick's way out of position. Like it's frustrating because again, the way the Bruins have played, the way they've won the last 4 years was the anti that shift, the exact
Hmm.
opposite of that shift against the Detroit. That's what other teams do when the Bruins are playing
Right.
them.
And
Get
mind
out of
you,
position and.
Right. I mean, well, I thought it was a penalty on Rasmussen. Rasmussen or
Mhm.
Rasmussen. I don't know which one it is. I'll call him Rasmussen. That's what I said. It might be Moosin. He's a moose. He's 6'6". I absolutely think it was a trip. He call it a
Yeah, he
slew
went right
foot,
through his skates.
whatever. Went right through his skates, accidental or
Yeah,
not, right through his skates. Riley's issue is you can't go back and cross check the guy right there.
no.
You're not proving how
And
tough you are.
and you've seen 5,000 NHL games. Why did he not call that? Because they just got off of a 5-on-3
Right.
on a random call, like the stall hook on a
Mhm.
5-on-4. Like it was a hook, but that's also not always called. And then it goes in the net. And then, all right,
Right.
Riley can't wait. Can you wait 5 seconds rather than two?
Right.
Like, go
Because that's
make a play
and
before you turn around. I mean, holy
exactly, and because
smokes.
the ref's looking for the retaliation. Now, I couldn't tell. It was just one referee, obviously, because the Marchand got hurt much
Mhm.
earlier in the game, and I couldn't tell if the rep. You can't see from the angle we were talking about in the post game Razor because there's only one ref. He wasn't even in the. He was just coming into the zone. Then he was halfway down on the other side of the ice. So I'm wondering if he had a good look at it or not. I don't know. It's hard to tell from there, but he did not make the call. But yet, when Riley decides a second and a half later to get up and to cross check him, the referee's right there on the goal line, and he
Yeah, it was
sees it
easy.
easily. Right.
It was easy. It was
But
easy
yet,
from my couch to see that.
okay, but yet here's the question. So he takes this and it's a delayed penalty. But does that then create the goal, or does the chaos of the delayed penalty create the goal? Is that what does?
Well, it's the chaos to it. It's well, the most egregious play was Frederick. If you watch Frederick is the centerman,
Mhm.
and he's the low, or he's at least the low forward, whether he's not the centerman or not. He
He
comes
is,
all the
yep.
way to the top and covers nobody. And to the point, Stahl jumps down because he knows it's 6-on-5. He can be
Right.
much more aggressive. He knows, so he jumps in, and literally, there's three guys at the top of the blue line for the Bruins that are covering nobody, leaves them all alone.
Yeah.
So it's certainly more the chaos of the ensuing delayed penalty coming that allows
Yeah.
Stahl to jump in.
Well, yeah, Stahl knows he's got nothing to lose. Go. Go.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, get
yeah, yeah.
get
That's right.
down there.
He's jumping in. Yeah.
I don't know if you caught it or not after Stahl scored. He had some words for the Bruin
Yeah, the
bench.
big nuts, the big balls things. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw him give the old major league.
Yeah.
I don't know who or why or how, because Marchand's not on the bench. So who's he talking to? Right? Like usually that's directly at Brad Marchand, but it
Right.
was for somebody
Somebody,
that
yeah, they gave it to him in that scrum after the
yeah.
Bergeron, the penalty on Bergeron, and then there was a scrum at center ice when he was at
And somebody
Pastrnak, I
also
think.
probably gave it to him after him taking the 5-on-3 penalty and him
Exactly.
going back to the bench. Yes, yeah.
Exactly. Somebody did. So he then gave it back to the Bruins there. And those are the ones that you really want to just tell that guy, you want to jump off the bench, tell him to F
Oh,
off and
yeah.
oh man,
Still so
those,
happy.
he was so happy, right? He's like, here's a veteran player. He knows he's almost done, right? I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah,
he's,
he's a
he's
leader
like,
in Detroit, and that's it. He's never winning
right,
there, and
right. It's like, screw it. I'll tell you what I'm doing here. Um, all right, let's touch on Jake DeBrusk because his agent, which is the job of the agent, whether
Mhm.
or not people agree with what he did by becoming it public with it. Listen, this is my take, and I know we had our own little special brew on it yesterday, but the agent's just saying we're done. Like
Yeah,
we've been done for maybe 5 months, and I'm guessing there was the request put out again over the summer at some point, and that's when Bruce and him and Jake sat down again just to say, look, we'll see how we can do this. Let's get a fresh start. We'll see what happens, all that stuff. And now it just become untenable. Evidently, Jake talked to the team per reports. I didn't get to listen to much post game, but per reports, he talked to the team today and told them, love you guys, love this, but this is a business decision. Have to do it. And I am paraphrasing what I
mhm.
saw on social media, which again makes sense to me. And I think his teammates love him, but so they understand. I thought his game in the first period was okay, actually. I thought it was fine. I did. I thought it was all right, and the Bruins did a good job. I thought it got weaker as the game went on, though. I thought less noticeable, less determined, less less in the mix.
Yeah, and I think if you wanted to, and I'll take the other side of it. I'm sure from his point of view, he got taken out of the game again, and that line. And we talked about how many minutes the top two lines played. Those guys got taken out of the game again, and um, I'm not.
Mhm.
I think that's the view of the player in those situations where, yeah, I did have a pretty good first period, and now here I am sitting on the bench again.
Yeah.
And I had a few good games, and I'm trying to go to the net, and here I am sitting on the ninth floor again, and that's just the DeBrusk angle, but I also think for those other two, the other two lines, um, in tonight's game, you could say that about the bottom six. They weren't noticeable, but they just didn't get out on the ice in the second two periods, and that's that was the game dependent, I guess, but I think it's hard to be really critical on them because of that. Just
I
no
mean,
opportunity.
but you're right. However, it's also the role of those guys meaning the bottom six, especially the bottom line, to be as noticeable as possible when you get that opportunity. It sucks, man. It's a brutal role. It's tough.
Well,
It is.
those guys don't think they're that role though. That's the issue. DeBrusk doesn't think of himself as a fourth line player, and Holla definitely doesn't think of he was coming here to be signing a 3-year, $9 million deal to be a fourth line player and play 6 minutes, 7 minutes a night. So yes, a Kuhlman, a Bleed, a call up, a Steen, yes, but those guys, it's a little bit different. It's a little harder for them after they've played 20 minutes a night for 3 or 4 seasons. It's not an excuse. They have to find a way. They're pros, but it is harder to do that because I don't
Yeah.
think that's really should be their role.
When it's all said and done, no. I would
Yeah,
agree with you.
yeah,
So the DeBrus trade, it's got to happen sooner than later.
yeah. It
It
does
sure
now. Yeah, that's
it
why the agent does this. Everybody, this is why the agent does this, and they've probably tried to be really. I think it sounds like everyone's tried to do the right thing and try and do it right, but at some point you have to look out for number one in this business, and that's what the agent's for, and that's why he forces this because he didn't think that the deal was going to get done, and
Mhm.
and you have to it has to get done now. It really
All right.
does. It's a distraction, and fans booing Drake, and I mean it looks bad for everybody.
So let me throw out a name, okay?
Hmm.
Vladimir Tarasenko. He was supposed to have been moved, requested a trade, changed agents, in fact, ripped into the St. Louis Blues team doctors for, with the shoulder issues that he's had. And everybody thought it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Ain't happening, or at least not yet. You know what I mean? That trade hasn't
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
And they have found a way, Razor, to be successful with him. And I know he's a different player than Jake. I'm not comparing them as players. I'm just saying it's the same situation. When
Hmm.
Tarasenko said, he wants out. He made it clear, and that's gone on for a long time. And Tarasenko has found a way to be very valuable for this St. Louis Blue team. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but I know it started out pretty damn good. I don't think he wants to be there still, though. I don't. From people I've spoken with, he wants to go somewhere else. So they got to work that out. But they have figured out a way to not make it a distraction. This one, unless we are just too close to the situation, which we are, it feels like it is a distraction. I mean, like it's got all the makings of that. I wonder though if, especially with COVID and everything, with this scenario, like how does that change things at all? I mean, if they trade him for not futures, but a draft pick or something, which I don't see. I just don't. They have to get somebody back. But it just feels like a different scenario right now. I feel like this needs to get done in the next 24 to 48 hours.
I do too. And I think tonight was a good example. Again, I think tonight's a good example. Tonight was the night you could play him 17 minutes. You
Mm-hmm.
could find his way onto the ice more. You could put him on the second line. You could move him around, and maybe that's because the coach isn't there. Sacco got set in his lineup. He wanted to play his guys. That could easily happen in this situation. But um, the reality is if you're going to play the guy in any nights to really get him going, it is tonight. These
Yeah.
are the nights you don't bury a guy like that, and Holla the same way, where they're coming out the ninth floor. You give them the opportunity to take the message, so to speak. That usually happens. It does with the guys like that. Maybe not fourth line guys, but guys like this, you usually give them a lot of rope in the next game, and they didn't do that again. And it's like, all right, um, you know, for your example, Tarasenko had a sat out Saturday night. He would have played 20 minutes tonight.
Mhm.
That kind of player would have played on the power play. He would have got an opportunity to let loose and show everybody. But that's not happening here now. So it's got to go. Got to
Right.
go. Move it.
Yeah, they gotta
Get
move
the
it.
best
And
deal you can here.
I
No.
got to imagine, and I'm not gonna make up an actual deal, but I have in my head, actually, be honest with you. I
Yeah.
gotta think that they try and do a package deal. I can't see it being just a one for one and your tough contract for my tough contract. I don't think that does the Bruins any good. They just become the same team that they are. I think they need to take this opportunity, package deal, and get somebody impactful for them, or at least attempt to do it. My take.
Yeah, and hopefully one of those deals, one of those package deals, was close in the summer. Because again, I got a few calls about Jake DeBrusk in the summer
Mhm,
from people I know. I got a few calls yesterday and today about Jake DeBrusk from those same people.
mhm.
And you hope that those teams that were involved in the summer that were kind of close but thought, you know what, we'll just wait, are in situations where those were package deals, and those can still be rejuvenated pretty quickly here.
I could see the Bruins
But
doing
it's
that. I mean,
hard.
look,
It's
Jake,
hard. It's
it
hard.
is
It's
hard.
really
I
hard.
know. I know. Jake's
Yeah.
Jake's making in cash 4 I don't have him 8 something this year, but I think it's an average of 2 years at 3.75, something
I
like
was gonna
that.
say 375, yeah.
Right, that's the
3725 maybe or
average.
something, yeah.
But I think he's at
Yeah.
like either 4.285 or 4.825. I suck with remembering numbers. Um, so that's a lot of money, for a guy that hasn't
Yeah.
performed much. It's a lot of money. And I know he's a first round pick. I know that people have seen good stuff from him in the past, but the last 2 years they haven't. So I think that'll be tough to
Mhm.
just do a one for one where you get an impactful player back. Um, and if you're gonna move him, and you want just a certain player that has a low cap hit, well, you're gaining cap space too. So it's really, I mean, that would be great for the Bruins, but it's just going to be a one for one. Then that's all it's going to be.
Does
But
that do you consider that a package deal? If you get cap relief, would you consider that a package? If you can
uh,
save 3,000,000 and just have that buried, or does that
no,
not
it's I
count?
guess that's a bonus. But again, now you're listen. I guess if you think that you can get one of your guys from Providence, let's say, in no particular order, a Steen, a Studnicka, um, I guess a Wagner. Bleed, we got to see how he is, health wise. I'm hoping it's a couple of games only. But if you're like, yeah, you know what, we're fine plugging him in, and that's what that's what we think, and we just want to get some cap space. Is it a package? No, it's a nice element. You're not going to get much back for him though, Razor. You're just not gonna if you're gonna gain
No.
that much cap space. So then you're saying, okay, I that's my second
My
choice.
my
My
exam like, that Rasmussen guy, right? Like, let's just use him as an example because we just talked about, like, the Detroit or the Rasmussen. He makes,
mm, mm,
900,000. A
mm,
guy like that who's a service, who is similar to, like, a Nosek, or
yep,
Lazar, who can play in the
yep,
NHL, and
yep.
then you save $3,000,000.
Right. Okay, that's a nice bonus. But now I guess
You're in the
the thing
same
is
spot though, right?
you're in the same spot, and then you're saying, okay, what are you going to use that 3 million for down the road? I mean, if it's to go get
Yeah.
a big player that you can fit in, awesome. There's just no guarantee. If I have the opportunity to package Jake and another something, and to get somebody who can impact, especially a left shot defenseman with some snarl to him, or even a forward with some snarl. Not talking stupid snarl. I'm talking a guy that can play, I'm doing that. That's my first choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And have the money balance itself out. And if not, well then
Yeah.
fine. I'll take the cap space. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Want to ask you
I'm gonna
about.
spin. I want to spin. I want to spin quickly.
All right.
Just because I wrote something down tonight. If we don't get to it,
Yep.
we talked Washington Capitals rolling this year. They
Mhm.
have 7 players that have scored their first goal on their roster.
It's a
The
lot.
Bruins have Matt Grzelcyk, no goals. Curtis Lazar, no goals. Nick Foligno, no goals. This is why they're not 14-5, 14-4.
Right.
This is it, everybody, folks. And they also
Mhm.
don't have Ovi, a David Pastrnak, who's got 19 goals. This is
Mhm.
how you have to offset and you have to toggle goals. And I just want, I thought it was fascinating to see that 7 guys that are just coming up and scoring goals or finding ways to contribute. That's the issue right now for this group more than anything else.
Well, the Bruins hoped, and right now it's not succeeding, that the go back to
Mhm.
the term I used months ago, this concoction of free agent players that they brought in would look good, smell good, taste good, and do good. And it hasn't. It hasn't enough. And there's also players on your roster too that had been there that haven't done it. But
Mhm.
while Felino's done certain things that have been good, he hasn't scored. I mean,
Yeah, he's making what,
and
4 million? I
right,
mean,
yeah, and we love Uncle Nick, love him for what he is, how he is, all that. I do. I won't speak for you.
no, I
But
love, yeah, Uncle, he's everything you want, but
but
4 million, you got to
but
score a goal.
you got to score
Yeah.
goals. Yeah. All right. Let me ask you a couple of things. The Zadina goal, mistake by Charlie Coyle. Okay. I mean, not okay, like flippantly. We puts the puck after doing a nice thing in the neutral zone, regroups, but then turns it over. Suter does a nice little sauce over to Zadina. The goaltender there, Ullmark, going to his glove side, his left. It's a forehand. It's a simple forehand backhand move by Zadina, and I don't mean it's an easy save. I'm saying it's a basic move with speed. Speed is the real key right there.
He
Anything
was
you'd
quick
like to
with
see?
it. Yeah.
He was quick with it. Anything you'd like to see Ullmark do differently, or no? Just a breakaway type thing.
Yeah, I think it was he Zadina did a really good job going backhand to forehand. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's a backhand to forehand. This one was really quick, got it up and over. Um, it's hard to not being in the rink, not seeing the overhead or behind it, the replay,
Mm-hmm.
whether he got caught off guard by he didn't get set early enough, didn't recognize the threat quick enough because of the Red Wing
I
jumping
think,
off the bench, like having a broke. It's kind of a
yeah.
broken play, and sometimes goalies can get off, not have enough momentum to his left, a little
Okay.
flat-footed, similar to like a defenseman being flat-footed. Could have been that, but it was hard to tell from the replay. I think it was a goal that, if that's the only goal that goes in, it's no biggie. And
Right.
tough game to
Right.
play. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
And then no chance on the second one, obviously.
No chance. Right. He's going towards. I don't even think the first shot was at
That's
Lindstrom,
the
I
problem.
believe.
It didn't get to him.
Didn't even
That's
get to him.
it didn't hit him, and then that's the worst thing that can happen as a goaltender. If it hits you, you have a sense of where it's going. You know where it's going if you're in the NHL. If it
Mhm.
doesn't hit you, you only have a sense, and you're kind of swimming. And to have that extra person out on the ice makes it even tougher.
Right. Um, a few other little things. Uh, I thought Zaboro was more or less okay again.
Mhm.
He was good. I mean, you said it. I'm starting to agree with you more. I, I, I hope. I'd like to say he's coming into his own as a defenseman in the NHL. Um, Maybe, just maybe, that could create an opportunity to move one of those other left shot D men. You know what I'm talking about? Just playing armchair
Mhm.
GM here. If Zaboril's that guy, that you can maybe there's a couple of them that are too similar. And then could you move
Yep.
one and again package that with Jake, and maybe you bring in a much bigger, more physical present type guy. I wouldn't argue with that.
So no, me neither. Me neither.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you like
because they're not getting
Nedeljkovic's?
enough from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Ned Battles. He's that was a great pickup by Detroit to get him out of Carolina.
Mhm.
Especially, it just fits. He fits what Stevie Y is trying to do. The rest of the team, you've talked about Detroit being sparky and tough to play against, and that's what Ned is a goalie. Been a winner everywhere.
Mhm.
Wasn't able to pull it off in Carolina. Thought they needed to upgrade, but he was good. And again, he got lucky. He got fortunate. He's one of those games where things are hitting you and no one's in front of you. You don't have one that goes off a skate in the
Right.
net. Those kinds of things. So it was a simpler road game compared, for 42 shots.
He
But
looked
he's
into
good.
like he was in a
He's
he was in
good.
a groove.
Yeah. When
He
he
was
gets
in a
in that, he's great.
is a he good athlete, at least, or at
Hmm.
least it appears that way. He's not huge. He's
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 not
not
big.
6'4". He's like, I think he's 5'11". I mean,
Yeah.
maybe 6 foot, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I was really impressed with. Not his rebound control, but also finding pucks when they were down in front of him. Now, maybe that's him just being a little smaller, but he was
It
very,
is.
very smooth about it and very certain with it. Unlike, and I'm not picking on Linus. I'm just saying I don't find him being smooth. I am picking on him. Let me
Yeah, you
rephrase.
are.
I am,
It
but that's
it's
fine.
it's it's
It's not as
because of
smooth.
it's because of those 6 inches. It's because of the 6 inches, and so you're gonna get a little smoother. Ned's gonna be closer to those rebounds in tight in around him. His hands are just naturally closer to the ice,
Mhm,
but Ned's not gonna get hit with pucks randomly that he doesn't see out there. So
mhm.
that's the give and take with a big goalie and a small goalie, and it'll be forever debated between hockey people. What's better?
Yeah. Well, he's a good. He had a great game. He was excellent. He was the number one star of the game, and I'm not taking anything away from him. I do, as I said earlier, I do. I don't think the Bruins did enough to make his life miserable. I thought Taylor Hall, uh, or Nick Foligno tried a few times. Hall finally got inside a bit too, but as you said, that top line, their DNA isn't like that. Hall, I thought got better as the game went on. I did. I thought he got better as the game, more
I liked his
noticeable.
third period.
Yeah, I thought he started motoring and hungry for pucks, getting them back. Um, I don't know shit. I mean, I think that's it. I think we covered everything. Anything else that
Yeah.
we didn't cover? No? Yes? Maybe? Nothing?
No, I think we've done. I mean, we just banged 3 out in 3 nights. We're back
Basically.
in
Yeah, everyday
bubble
mode.
bubble territory. Yeah.
Well, holy shit,
So
the way things are going, might end up getting there whether we like it or not. All right, well, that'll wrap this one up then, folks. We really appreciate you supporting and listening, and or if you're watching us on YouTube, watching us and just being a part of the Brew crew. And Razor and I, as always, and RC too. We all three of us appreciate you taking the time to listen, and we'll get some uh, interaction coming up. We'll take some questions coming up. We haven't done that in a little while, so we'll take some of those. So that's going to wrap up this Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. Bruins lose 2-1 to the Detroit Red Wings. The next Bruins game is Thursday. It's in Nashville, a place that has not been kind to the Bruins lately, and Nash seems to play the Bruins well regularly. Peter Forsberg, Philip Forsberg, coming off a 4-goal game.
faux pas.
Uh,
Faux pas
yeah,
too.
against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So
Columbus.
Nashville, keep an eye on them. The next Morning Brew is scheduled after Saturday's game against Tampa, but we're going to record it on Sunday. So it'll be out late Sunday. You'll have a few days to take that one in because after that, the Bruins don't play then until Wednesday when they head out to Western Canada. So take your time, enjoy this one as much as you can despite the loss. And again, we'll be back with a new Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor the weekend of December 5th after the game on the 4th at night against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Everybody be safe, be happy, be healthy. And as always, please, despite the loss, try to enjoy your cup of coffee.